All right, this week on This is Gravel, we have What's Up with Neil. We have Gravel Worlds, a little tour in Lyon County, and maybe we get to sit down with some pirates. What do you think?
Might get to sit down with some pirates.
You're supposed to go, grrr! Hey, welcome to This is Gravel. I'm Bobby Thompson. Sitting next to me today is
Neil Taylor.
I like it when you say your own name.
I do like saying my own name, but occasionally I mess it up, so I'm glad I haven't done that.
Maybe someday you can say my name.
Maybe I could.
Okay, or I could call myself you.
That would work.
Okay, Neil, what's been going on?
Oh, well, let's see. This week has been for me more about catching up on some of that honey-do list. Doing some landscaping around the yard for the wife. We're getting kind of the backyard set up for some
No bike maintenance for the wife?
Well,
actual
that's the
housework for the wife.
Yes, actual housework. But the other part of that has been actually getting the wife on the bike. We took her up to Gravel City this week, and she's tried out a couple bikes, got her on a Journeyman, and so Adam is looking for one for her.
One Take Blake.
Yes, One Take Blake is getting that, hopefully getting a Sora in for her.
Good, Journeyman.
The Journeyman, yeah. And so she's really excited about that. Adam's obviously pulling some strings, and then had another friend of ours, Joanna, go up with us as well. And
I helped her out today.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're just putting the finishing touches on her bike here a few minutes ago, and so she just picked up hers, and then riding with my daughter a little bit, another friend of ours who just picked up a bike. So I've been riding with a lot of people that have no miles underneath them, which has kind of been awesome. It's been nice to
Do you race in front of them and
a lot of times I
laugh and smile?
I get up ahead of them and then do that over-the-shoulder look like Dan does, you know, in those pictures. Yeah, I occasionally do that, but more or less I take a lot of selfies. But having fun. What have you been up to, Bobby?
I always ride bikes. We had Tour de Lyon County in Emporia, Kansas this past weekend. There were a lot of rides this past weekend.
Yes.
We'll get into that, but if Solstice 100 was this past weekend, and the Opal.
Yeah, Opal out in Missouri.
Excelsior Springs, Missouri. I want to hear some stories from that. But in Emporia, we had the Tour de Lyon County. 105 mile ride, but you could also the 3-man relay teams or 3-person relay teams. This time of year with the heat the way it is, I really like doing the smaller rides, but part of a relay team. The checkpoints are a little bit more festive because not everybody's coming into them dead, having to go on. There's a lot of, you're trading off bikes. You just race these guys for 35, 40 miles and you're done. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, definitely. I would encourage, more of the events to look at doing the 3-person relay teams or even 2-person relay teams going forward. It's just a different type of vibe. So
yeah, I haven't done the relay yet before that. I've done it twice in the past. Just doing the full 105 miles myself. But, man, I would love just looking at it. The idea of going out and just killing yourself for about 33, 34 miles and then hanging out the rest of the day.
And you hand off and see what happens. And see, at the end of the day, you're like, where'd we end up? How'd we do?
Yeah.
So we ended up getting third, and so that was kind of fun. It was a pretty good field, so that felt good. It's not like they were, 3 teams.
Yeah.
So there was a little more, there was at least 4. So I don't know how many teams there were. There were quite a few, though, this year. So it was fun.
Awesome.
Had a good ride.
Good time.
So, coming up this summer, at the end of summer, we had Gravel Worlds in August. We're going to talk a lot about Gravel Worlds on this show today. Love Gravel Worlds. Started off hating Gravel Worlds. Honestly, I never thought I would go back, but it was my second season riding bikes, and I definitely was in way over my head, but I had some friends who were wanting to go, and I got out there, and oh my gosh, it was hard. With that sandy gravel mix and nothing but endless hills.
Last year was my first time out at Gravel Worlds, and 4 or 5 years now into cycling. If that was my second year, Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to go back,
Yeah.
especially that last about 20 miles or so into town. It killed me.
Oh yeah,
but it was tough. But I also can't wait to be back here in a couple weeks.
It's gorgeous out there, right?
It is. It's so beautiful.
And all the way they have it set up with all the little stops every 25, 30 miles, you regroup with those people, and it's like a long, hard day with a good group of friends is what it's like, But we're going to talk a lot about it. We were able to get a hold of Craig Schmidt and Corey Godfrey, two of the gentlemen who put on the On Gravel Worlds, and it has changed a lot since its infancy. It's been around quite a few years now, and they're going to have a little sit down with Matt. So how about we get into that first?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, Gravel Guru fans, I'm joined today by, I guess you could say, a couple of pirates from Lincoln, Nebraska. How you doing, Corey and Craig?
Great, Matt. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're here today to talk a little bit about the 9th Gravel Worlds. Why don't you go ahead and give us an overview of when they're coming up there in Lincoln?
Gravel Worlds is August 19th this year, 18th, sorry. August 18th, 2018. And then sign-in or registration is August 17th, Friday beforehand.
Very cool. When someone says the 9th annual Gravel Worlds, what does that mean to you guys when you hear that the event you guys have been putting on is in its 9th year?
It's hard to believe it's been going on for 9 years. When we first did it, we just kind of did it as kind of a tongue-in-cheek Gravel World Championship, and you're going to see my cat Dexter in here.
Yeah.
But it's really grown into a legitimate, really competitive event. We've got some world-class athletes coming from all over the United States, and also international riders coming for it. So it's been fun to see it grow, and we think it really should be recognized as a legitimate world championship.
Yeah, the way
I think it says a lot about just the gravel scene in Lincoln and the gravel scene in the Midwest, just in general, like how popular gravel events are, and that they're looks like they're here to stay, and so we're pretty proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, very much. This will be our 3rd year with Gravel Guru coming up, and we love every minute of it. Love getting up to Lincoln and seeing what's new in town and what's new at the race. This year, as last year, I believe you guys are having a little bit of an expo out there before check-in starts. What all do you have planned for that check-in day, August 17th, and where's that going to be located?
Very similar format to last year. It's going to be located at CycleWorks, where the rider check-in is at. We're going to have a lot of our sponsors who are there for the event. Cantu is going to be there. Let's see who else we're going to have there. Several of the local folks will be there that normally offer stuff at the race. So it'll be great. We're also going to have on Friday the 17th, Nick Legan's going to be doing a gravel Q&A at 5 p.m. and also we're doing a book signing after that. So we're pretty stoked on that. So everyone can get their copy of Gravel Cycling, which is an excellent book by Nick Legan. And then the top female finishers will be getting a free copy of that as well.
Very cool. We had Nick on right when he was launching the book last year to talk about that. That's a great book, and it's worth noting that right now he's out on the Tour Divide, plugging away, headed towards New Mexico on that in Mexico. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we know Friday the check-in. It's always such a cool vibe down there at CycleWorks. It's kind of a family reunion of sorts. We haven't seen a lot of these family members since DK, because really in June and July, a lot of the big events kind of fizzle out through the heat of summer, and really we get kind of into what I call the fall swing, starting with Gravel Worlds there in Lincoln. Let's talk a little bit about race day. Part of what I think makes Gravel Worlds so great is really it feels grassroots. We meet in the Fallbrook parking lot, and kind of talk to me a little bit about that format once we get there.
Well, you talk about the grassroots stuff, and we try to send the riders through some small towns in Nebraska or southeast Nebraska, and I think that's part of it. You get to go through the town of Malcolm, and if you need to stop, you stop at a grocery store that's and small, but I think that's part of the grassroots feel. We're doing the same thing again this year. We're going through some smaller towns, and I think it's that. I think it's what you can see when you're out there, a variety. You know, you're going to go through farmland, you're going to go through areas where there's grasses and grassland, and maybe, you know, you're like, geez, am I still in in Nebraska? And I think that's part of it. I think it's the relationships we've developed with the people out on the course that allow us and allow the riders to use their property to refuel. And I mean, you talked about Gravel Family, and now even the people that are out on the course that we're able to stop in their houses or on their farms, they're part of the family now. And I think that's, you know, grassroots feel of the event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if I could just add,
Go ahead, Corey.
I was going to say, adding to that, I echo Craig's comments, but also kind of the grassroots feel is too, kind of going back to the early days of gravel grinding. You know, once you leave the start, you're pretty much on your own the rest of the day. So we do have some mandatory checkpoints that riders have to stop at, which we'll have stocked with, you know, beverages and snacks and food, and also some optional oasis locations where they can stop and refuel as well. But you're pretty much on your own. Like, that's how it used to be back when we, you know, first started gravel grinding, you know, probably 15 years ago, the smaller events. You take off, and then you'd have to rely on yourself to stop at convenience stores or, you know, just get what you can along the way. So that's also kind of the grassroots feel of the event as well.
Yeah, very cool. That's what I was going to ask about with some of the checkpoints, maybe some of Craig's family that was out there at the checkpoints, and really making one big family. It doesn't matter whether you're riding or helping the crew out for the day type deal. What does it take to develop a course like this?
Craig's a course expert, so I'll let him answer that.
It takes me going to the Department of Roads into the basement of their building and requesting large maps. I'm kind of old school when it comes to developing the courses. I don't use a lot of devices. Corey's just now taught me this year how to use my Garmin. And Randy Gibson used to encourage me to use Map My Ride, and last year was the first time I've ever used Map My Ride. But I know the roads really well. I ride them all the time. I make mental notes in my head, mental pictures in my head. What would be a great road? What would be something that I want somebody from New York City to see when they're on their bike? And so I literally, over the winter, when things might be cold here, I break out the map and start just kind of making notes or taking pencil notes and just starting to, you know, that's how I kind of make the courses over the years. And we always ride them. We feel like that's really important to kind of, we want to get the same feel on the bike that the riders will get the same feel for. So we spend a lot of time on the course. And that's kind of the nuts and bolts of how I come up with the courses.
Yeah. What can somebody that's never been up to Lincoln, never rode that area, what can they expect out of a Gravel Worlds race day? I mean, course-wise, what's the average weather you would say up there? You know, obviously it's the Midwest, so it can change at the drop of a hat, but...
Yeah, it can be pretty hot, but then we've had the past couple of years have been pretty mild. So it can average anywhere from mid-70s to mid-90s. Generally, it's not that humid as it is further down south, but it can be windy. You know, we've had some pretty windy years. Winds can be, sustained up to 20, 25 miles per hour sometimes. Normally it's anywhere from 5 to 15, but we do have those rare days. And it is still considered summer, so it's still storm season too. We've had some bad weather a couple times, but most people have avoided the really bad weather. So we've been pretty lucky. The course itself, I like to think we have really quote unquote hero gravel for the most part. It's the local counties do a great job of maintaining them. We're a really big agricultural state, so they put a lot of rock down. Sometimes there'll be some larger, like cherry tomato sized white rock, but most of it's kind of smaller pea gravel. But the roads are great. We do have some MMRs, minimum maintenance roads or B-level roads that we occasionally will put on the course. I think Craig's going to keep secret of how many miles we have of those. So obviously if it's wet, those are a little more difficult. We've had to have some hike-a-bike sections, but hopefully, we've been really lucky the past probably 4 years, and the roads have been really dry and really fast. So overall, it's a lot of rollers. They're short, punchy climbs for the most part, nothing really big, but they're just kind of one after another, after another, after another. So that kind of takes a toll. And at the end of the day, 150 miles usually have anywhere from 8,000 to 11,000 feet of climbing.
Wow.
So it really adds up.
Yeah, and you were talking about the gravel itself, and I've heard other riders from other states explain or kind of describe it. It's basically 2 lanes of what we'll call hero gravel, or packed in where it's fast, and then in between those lanes, typically there's some pea-sized gravel that's not bad to ride on, and then once in a while the county may dump some larger size rock, or a road grader may come and bring the gravel back to the middle of the course. All things that we can't control, but for the most part, it's pretty fast gravel. And Corey's talking about the hills. Typically, there'll be a 4% grade hill, up to that hills, and then this year there's a couple of hills. They're short, but there's a 14 to 16% grade in them. So Nebraska's not flat. Is kind of what we like to remind people.
Yeah, I've heard that expression before about after the race, talking about how not flat Nebraska is. So finally, before we wrap up, what are the awards you guys give out to kind of some of the top finishers out there, and where can people get registered?
Well, the winner of each category will win a Gravel Worlds jersey. So we can probably send you the championship. So that's all our categories. You have open men, open women, master men, master women, single speed men, single speed women. We also have tandem. It could be a mix of men, women, all men, all women, or a mixture. Then we also have our fat bike category for men and women. So if you come in first in that category, you're going to be crowned the world champion.
Very cool.
We're also offering this year, in memory of our good friend who was killed last year, Randy Gibson, we're going to be doing a climber's jersey. So we're still trying to figure out the exact format for that. It could be the fastest up a big climb or the first up a big climb. So we'll determine that.
That would be the first or fastest man or woman. So there'll be 2 jerseys given out for those.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, and what a great way to remember your guys' friends up there and from Lincoln. Let's talk about how do we get signed up for Gravel Worlds 2018. Is this a bike reg thing, or how long do we have to get this done?
So we're actually using Athlinks this year. So it is open right now, and we're filling up pretty quick. So we're going to cap it this year, and we're over 2/3 of the way full. So we encourage people to visit our website. That's www.gravel-worlds.com. They'll have a link to registration there, and you can get signed up on Athlinks. And we're posting the registered riders who actually sign up on our website as well, so you can kind of confirm if you're out there. So we'll be updating that about every week.
Very cool, and we'll make sure and we'll share a link in the show description if you didn't catch it there. We'll have that there for you to get signed up. Any last thoughts before we wrap this up, guys?
That's what I can think of.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having a bunch of people in Lincoln on August 18th, and actually the whole weekend. So, and as a reminder, we're offering the 150-mile World Championship, but also we're offering a 75-mile non-competitive gravel grinder called the Privateer gravel grinder. So that's 75 miles. That'll take off at 7 o'clock, whereas the 150-mile World Championship takes off at 6. And if anyone wants to come into town with their kids, the Fallbrook YMCA is also having a kids triathlon. I believe that starts at 9 a.m. So if someone wanted to come in and someone's racing, another person wants to hang out with their kids, they can have their kids do a triathlon there at the Fallbrook YMCA. Just want to remind folks about that.
Very cool. It sounds like a great weekend coming up this summer up in Lincoln. Thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. So what's funny about that is while we're watching the little Matt's clip right there, we're actually talking about our own experiences at Gravel Worlds, and we didn't turn the camera on. So let's talk about Gravel Worlds. You went last year. You suffered quite a bit. Am I right?
Yeah, last year was my first year. It was really, when you get down to it, I would say my first real race on a single speed. I had done Tour de Lyon County beforehand on single speed, but that's a pretty flat race ultimately. So going up to Gravel Worlds in Nebraska, 12,000 feet or so, climbing over 150 miles. Only really been riding a single speed for less than 2 months.
Yeah.
At that time, didn't know anything about gearing, so I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go out there and ride.
So you did 44.15?
No, it was 42.19, but it was on a heavy tank of a steel bike at that point. Yeah, it was rough. And, I felt great about the first 70 miles, and then all of a sudden those climbs started to feel them a little bit in the legs, and we pulled into that checkpoint, I'd say about 80 miles or so, the first checkpoint there, and talked and had a good time and rolled out from there. And I would say within the next 30 miles, my body just shut down. That second checkpoint at the folks' house, I laid down in their driveway on the gravel for about half hour.
Yeah.
And eventually got back up. And
is that the one about 30 miles out from town?
Yeah, about
25,
so
that's actually Smitty's parents' house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I laid down in their driveway for about 25 minutes and was just tapped. I was wore out and didn't realize how much climbing was still left ahead of me.
There is that last climb to the finish line.
Yeah,
is a massive climb. So yeah, definitely the last 10 miles.
Last 10, 12 really just
it's not
me
an hour.
Up, and I'm like, single speed was stupid. I don't think I'll ever ride a single speed bike again. That has obviously continued on, but and I also didn't know really if I'd want to do it again. But looking back, it was a great experience. We enjoyed it. We made a family trip out of it. We went up to Omaha, spent some time there. Also went to Lincoln and stayed there a day afterwards.
Lincoln's a fun place to stay too.
Oh yeah,
you definitely want to get there a day early if you can.
If you bring the family along, they got a great children's museum. They got a great zoo up there, and so the kids had a blast that whole day because it's self-supported. So there's no checkpoints where they're out meeting me. So they had a blast that whole day. It was probably a lot better for them than having to track daddy around and fill up his water bottles.
Right.
So tell me about your experitions. You've been there more than 1 year.
It's fun. The past few years have been really fun because most of the riders, a large portion of the riders stay downtown. So I think the Graduate in Lincoln, Nebraska is their sponsored hotel. I don't know how many people stay at the Graduate. I know it's full of cyclists. And the Graduate goes out of their way now for the cyclists. I mean, they have, 2 years ago, they gave us it was a grab bag breakfast so that because the race starts early, right? Okay, which is good that it starts early because August is hot, right? So, but the grab bag breakfast, and this is no diss whatsoever. I mean, this is just they're trying, but they don't understand cycling kind of thing. We had an apple and a granola bar and a bottle of water, and that was their grab. So we rush downstairs. We're in a hurry. I don't eat because they're going to have and that's what I have. That was a rough start to the day because the first stop that year, so it went clockwise, and the first stop that year was Schmitty's parents' house, and they had donuts there.
Okay.
Dude, I'm starving. Donuts sound really darn good at 8 in the morning. Okay, they did not sound really good at 8:30 in the morning, a little bit down the road. So that was rough. But so last year, though, they had a full buffet going at 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So that was really cool. So they learned from their experience. They changed it. So yes, they're very accommodating there. The restaurants downtown there near there are perfect the night before. You're surrounded by other cyclists, so it's a good vibe. It is a ways away from the start line, which would be the only bad thing. You have about a 15-minute drive, maybe 20-minute drive, so you really got to plan that out when you wake up. But there's really no hotels close to there, so that's where everyone stays. And the rest of that, though, the whole time, it's just been a good time. So I've finished 3 times now, 3 years in a row, and every time it's hurt just as much as the year previously. So last year, just quick story for last year. So the whole day, I mean, it was fine. I did great up until like mile in the 90s, so before I fell apart. But that last climb, I got up the last climb, and I was so mentally out of it. I mean, I was gone. There was no thought processes rolling on except I didn't know where I was. And I rolled up this last climb, and I remember seeing a person, an object up the top of the climb. And I get up there, and it doesn't even dawn on me that this dude is just directing traffic. He's not a racer. He's just up there in cargoes or whatever. But I'm thinking I caught somebody. So I'm kind of excited, and I finally get up there. And he looks over, and he's like, "How you doing, man? You doing okay?" And all I could say was, "No, I'm not. I'm not well whatsoever." And he just kind of laughed, and he was like, "Come on." And he rode me into the start. Yeah, he left his position. He was like, "Come on." And so he rode with me all the way down the start, peeled off, and then he went back. I was not thinking. I mean, there was just nothing. I rolled across the finish line, and my head was just zombie. And I had been joking for a year with Craig that I was going to get a finish line hug, because Craig is not known for his finish line hugs. Craig's awesome, and Craig's wonderful, but he's never been known for the finish line hug. That's a Bobby Winnell thing, So I had been joking with him for a year. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, after the ride, he's busy. He's running around like crazy. I'm laying down on the grass, staring at the sky, wishing that, I was in a different world. And Craig walks up, leans over me, and he's like, "We need a hug." And that was really cool. So, yeah, Craig's awesome. And so it was an awesome experience. It was an awesome finish, and everything was fine after that. You regroup, and you move on. And then the next day you're ready to come back. So I can't wait to go back this year. Hope that we see more of you guys this year. I looked on on the registration. Looks like they have around 400 people right now, 350, 400 people. I don't remember the cap. Is the cap 1,000, I think, something like that. I can't remember the exact cap, but I definitely want to see that fill. And it will fill. Right now we're in the dead spot of summer. Usually, towards the end, everybody just jumps in. But definitely look me up when you guys are there. It's going to be awesome at the end of summer.
Yeah, really can't wait to be up there again. I mean, you talked about the guy at the top of that hill. They have such a great support staff out there.
Absolutely.
Rolling into the checkpoints, rolling out, so much encouragement, especially when, I rolled in that first one 80 miles. My head was down. I was hurting a little bit. It's starting to feel the pain, and just got so much encouragement rolling in. Finishing a lot later than I anticipated last year. Still got encouragement rolling across the finish line.
Late's not a bad thing either. Late means you're coming in when the temperature's breaking, right? A little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, the sun was down when I rolled in last year. So I wasn't anticipating that, because those first 60, 65 miles went so fast last year,
right.
And so smooth. But like I say, and even really up to about mile 115, everything was smooth, and then it just went downhill so fast. And so I learned a lot from it, and so I'm really excited going back this year and bettering that 14 hours and change that it took me.
It's fun. When you get to that distance, anytime you get over 100 miles, that really affects people differently, and you get to see how they mentally hold up. Yeah. I've seen people on that exact ride. I've seen people saw one of my friends rolled up over a hill, and he's sitting on top of a hill. And these aren't back roads like Flint Hills. I mean, these are farm roads. Oh, yeah. And he's sitting in the middle of the road, Indian style, and he's just looking forward. Like, "Dude, you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." Like, "All right, you want to move to the side?" "I'm good." And it's funny to see how that plays out. And he did finish later, but it was like, let's get over in the shade. How about some shade? So it was good. Okay, so we talked about the other races going on.
Yes.
I really want to know if anyone has any stories on the Solstice 100 or the Opal Wahoo.
Wahoo, yeah, I believe it is.
I'm sorry. Let us know those stories, though, because those are nearby, but also East Coast, West Coast, in between. Send us your shots. Let's see what's going on. Social media from this weekend, right?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Flooding in. Let's check it out.
Hey, thanks, Bobby and Neil. There were a ton of events going on this past week. Let's take a look. Mark sent in this photo from the Opal Wahoo 100. Rode it with 3 Feet cycling crew and friends. Nancy Baker sent in this photo riding the Prairie Spirit Trail. Adam Jeffrey sent in this photo from Phantom Canyon in Colorado. Herded some cattle as well, they said. Steve Hamilton sent in this photo riding in the early morning hours in Iowa. Congratulations go out to Greg Gleason on finishing the Tour Divide. Mike Austin was up in Cable, Wisconsin. 3 days of bike packing. Brett sent in this photo from the Opal Wahoo 100 miles in Excelsior Spring, Missouri. First year for this event, and it was great, he said. You can tell by the look on his face that he had his doubts going in with all the climbing on the course. Great job, Brett. Jacob sent in this photo from the Lutzen 99er, completed it in 8 hours and 51 minutes, and he got a coin for the Leadville 100 mountain bike race. Congratulations, Jacob. Eric Foltz was out at the Lake Paris State Recreation Area, and Cassie and Lynn were out at the Tour de Lyon County here in Emporia, Kansas. Thanks to everybody that submitted photos using the hashtag #ThisIsGravel. Keep sending them in, and we'll keep sharing them. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, we appreciate all those awesome photos. Like I say, so many races going on. I know I saw people racing even further up north, too. So a lot of cool races going on. People
Like
having
the Arctic
fun.
Circle?
Yes, the Arctic Circle.
'Cause that would
Santa
be
was on his
cool.
bike.
Like with spikes on the tires? Okay.
Yeah, Santa and Mrs. Claus were doing tandem. They came in third place. It was kind of sad.
okay.
Not enough reindeer power. But we do love those pictures, guys. Again, keep sending them. Make sure you're tagging it with This Is Gravel, tagging Gravel Guru or Minister of Gravel. That would be me. Or the Casual Cyclist. We love seeing what you guys are doing because we're in Kansas. We're not always out everywhere. We sometimes get to see other races in other states, but we love, again, seeing what you guys are doing. So make sure you keep tagging that, and we will see you guys next week.
We'll see them next week.
Hopefully.
Awesome. See ya.